Activist arrests must be reviewed after the government drops an anti-protest law. I'm going to read this opinion piece from Open Democracy, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Reganelite here with an article, an opinion piece, from Open Democracy with the headline that activist arrests must be reviewed after the government drops the anti-protest law. So Labour has quietly dropped the legal fight over unlawful crackdown on protests. But what about those already arrested? Guys, while you're here, make sure you hit the like button and share it across social media so others are notified of this video. It is so important that we protect the right to protest, the right to speak our minds, the right to make our voices heard. Protesting and standing up for yourselves, these allow us to have the rights that we as workers and people in society have today. Because if we didn't have these rights, we'd be nothing more than slaves. If we didn't stand up for ourselves, we'd be nothing more than slaves. That's all we would be. Just slaves working non-stop, no breaks, no holidays, nothing. You're just working, and not having a proper life. There's some people out there who want that. I don't. And I'm pretty sure the majority of you don't either. And this way it comes to down on anti-protest law. Now, you remember, under Suella Braverman, she cracked down and made amendments and changes in terms of laws on protesting, didn't she? And she wanted crackdowns on certain, and there were certain specific protests that have been targeted as well, haven't we, as we guys established, you know? The likes of the Gaza protests against Israel and the way they're conducting themselves. But then when it comes to Israel and them, Israel protests about Hamas, they've been treated indifferently. We also know that the English Defence League, their protesting has been pretty, to a certain extent, is treated indifferently than it comes to Greenpeace or climate protesting. They've been treated indifferently and much harsher. Now, it's arguments and fair to say that some of the Extinction Rebellion and Greenpeace, some of their protesting has gone a bit too excessive, and I agree. Some of them have gone a bit too excessive. With some of them, is a means to try and get attention. However, there are lines, and I feel that we here in the UK, we don't have the same, that it's not a case of being able to just simply stand on top of a box and then just shout your opinions like you used to, because you'll be accused of disturbing the peace. But in large groups and large bands, it's very hard for the police to control us. And a lot of protests now have to be coordinated with the police. And in my opinion, that's not right. Because people should be able to just freely protest and have their voices heard, because we're supposed to be a democratic nation. Isn't that what we're supposed to be? That's not what it feels like. And I know many people feel that way, because even though it seems on the front that we have elections, people can speak their voice, people can do X, Y, and Z. It's not always as simple as that, is it? So let's have a read, guys. So 2 years ago, Suella Braverman made a law she had no power to make. The then Conservative Home Secretary ignored a normal parliamentary process to sneak unlawful anti-protest measures in the back door. Her new law fundamentally changed the threshold at which police could impose conditions on a protest in England and Wales. It went from anything that caused serious disruption itself at vague phrases that Braverman was asked to defy but didn't, to anything that caused more than minor disruption. Now, finally, those laws have been quashed. We're at Liberty launched a legal challenge against the government in June 2023. And 5 judges over 2 hearings have since agreed with us that the measures were unlawful and should never have been introduced in the first place. This week, the Labour government has quietly dropped its appeal over those court rulings. The law now reverts back to what it originally was. Police can no longer intervene in protests on trivial grounds, such as a person blocking the entrance to a hotel where a fossil fuel conference is taking place for a matter of minutes, an act for which Greta Thunberg was arrested and later acquitted. At a library, we took action against those laws, not just because they were undemocratic and unlawful, but because of the real human impact that they had on protesters and non-protesters across the country. Take Suzanne, for example, who was wrongly arrested in January. Suzanne had gone to a vigil for Palestine in the morning, but left to go for lunch, and as she was on her way to the shops with friends, she asked the police which way to go, and they directed her to the protest area. A few minutes later, Susan was caught up in a kettle as the area had conditions imposed on it under these laws. Suzanne was arrested, held in custody first on the couch for 3 hours, and then in a cell for the rest of the 24-hour period that a person can be detained for without charge. She was unable to even call home and tell her son that she wouldn't be able to come home in that evening until 10:30. Eventually, Suzanne was told no further action would be taken up against her, and this was the case for dozens of others who got caught up in this injustice. Despite this, there have been long-lasting effects in her own words. This had huge impact on her mental health. She feels scared for her family's safety. She has lost all optimism when she did nothing wrong in the first place. What makes Suzanne's case even worse is that the legislation had already been ruled unlawful at the point she was arrested just a few months earlier. The Labour government had chosen to appeal the court's original decision that the Conservatives acted unlawfully. And this is despite Labour's Home Secretary Yvette Cooper had vocally opposed these same laws when she was in opposition. She's had a change of tune. I wonder what has changed her tune since then. Now the government has finally accepted defeat and has decided to drop its appeal. This is a huge victory for democracy and our rights to protest. It's important to note that these laws are just one in a long line of anti-protest legislation introduced over the past few years to crack down on our rights to protest. Yes, it is one victory, but many more to be done. This is true. Through successive government acts and rhetoric, the ways in which we can protest have been narrowed. Restrictions have been placed on how we protest and even how noisy our protests can be. As we have seen recently, the sentences given out to protesters have only gotten longer and harsher. This cannot go on. We need a reset on the way a protest is treated because it is leading to situations like Suzanne's where vague laws are causing very real damage. Now, if we've learned anything from our legal action is that justice is possible, but as Suzanne's experience shows, there is still further justice that needs to be gained. These laws should never have been made, and so quite clearly, even instances under them must be looked at. And there has to be an urgent review of every arrest and conviction made under these regulations. And as much as I would like this to happen, I don't think that's going to be the case, guys. Can keep up the good fight on this, absolutely. The dropping of the anti-law protest is a great. I'm very happy to hear that. But there is still more to be done. But I don't think there can be a case that we can win every single battle. Am I happy that somehow that some of the ways that the police have conducted themselves because of certain laws that they've been loosely allowed to have on people, and they're not going to face any charges or whatsoever? I am a bit annoyed about that. Yes, of course, because if I was in one of those situations and I was treated indifferently based on those laws, I'd be upset too. But this is a small victory, but there are many more victories to come. We have to keep pushing, and I really hope that Open Democracy and those associated with them and continue to push this fight, continue to take the whatever legality ways it can to reverse back the protest laws that have been imposed by Conservatives after Conservatives back to where they're a bit more feasible and much more fair for us. Rights really do matter. The rights to protest really do matter, guys. And we must do everything. And at the time of this recording as well, there was rumours and whatnot that perhaps the UK may complicit in some way, shape, or form into the Iran and Israel war, which if we don't want nothing to do with. I mean, it's already bad enough that we are associated with Israel with what's happening in Gaza. I mean, none of us wants to be a part of that, of what's happening in Iran. None of us do. But we know this UK government can't be completely trusted. But what do you guys honestly think? What do you guys make of the current protest laws and anti-protest laws that have been dropped? More needs to be done, of course, but tell me what you guys think about protesting and the rights to protest at all. What the rights to protest. Tell me about them in your country and maybe you guys here as well. Let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you found this video interesting and informative, please hit that like, share and subscribe button. Check out Rumble and Patreon for exclusive content. Do check out Open Democracy on their YouTube channel as well. And check out some of the other content and opinion pieces as well. They do great work there as well. But if you also want to financially support me in the work that I do here, you can click the join button down below to become a YouTube member for as little as 99p. So thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.